All right. So everyone, as I mentioned, today we are joined by Jessie Shi. And Jessie is one of our international student immigration advisors here at Fanshawe. So she's someone you would go to if you have any questions about your documents related to your study permit. And she would also be your point of contact for any kind of academic concerns or needs. You can go to her for help in addition to your academic advisor. So today, one of the first things she's going to talk to you about is information around working while studying. So just to get a sense of what your plans are for the upcoming term, I'm just going to share a quick poll with you guys to see what your intentions are around working. So I'll launch the poll now, and please feel free to respond. So in terms of working while studying, do you intend to work? So some of you maybe are a yes, you intend to work as much as you possibly can. Some of you are a maybe, so you don't really, you've heard all of this great information from our career services team and the London Economic Development Corporation, and you know that there are great opportunities, but you're not really too sure about the conditions of your study permit. And some of you maybe don't plan to work at all. You just want to focus on your studies, and that's your plan. So we have about 22 participants. I see some of you are thinking about it. Maybe not too sure. All right, so 24 people have responded. So let's end the poll now and show Jessie our results so she knows how to advise.
Yes.
And these are very interesting results, so I'll share them. So as you can see here, we have a good split. So some of you are sure that you want to work, you'd like to work as much as possible, and some of you are considering working, but you're not sure about the conditions of your study permit. And that's completely okay. This is why Jessie is here to help us this morning, to understand what is required of you and how much you're allowed to work as a student studying here in Canada. So I will turn it over to Jessie now.
Okay.
There we go. And I'm just gonna make it cool.
So I will be the host, right?
You got it. So you're all set if you'd like to share your screen.
Okay. So Laura, I think we can work together. I like to go with some basic concepts first and basic rules first, but I won't spend too much time. And then we'll see our students' questions, and then we can go from there. If you can help me with the questions in the chat box. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah. So good morning, everybody. This is Jessie from Fanshawe College International Office. I'm glad that you spent your time with us today, this morning. So we're going to talk about a lot of things, but today we'll mainly focus on your work permit, your working eligibility, and also the conditions to work. Yeah. Some of the students, when they receive the admission letter, they have conditions on the letter, which cause they receive a study permit, which don't have the working eligibility. So they have to change the study permit. We'll mention that as well. I'm going to share screen. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's looking good.
Wonderful.
Well, just maybe you just have, there we go. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the CIC website, the Canadian Immigration website. You may type in canada.ca or cic.gic.ca. That's the same thing. When you come to this page, go to the middle part. They have a lot of services. They have a My Application. In the future, when you extend the study permit or visa, or when you apply for a co-op work permit, you need to do applications over here online, okay? When you are in Canada, most of your application will be done online. And here is work. If you are coming to work, then it's here, but you're not coming to work, you're coming to study. Your working condition is based on your study permit. So what we do is we go into study right here. So your purpose is to study in Canada as an international student. That's why you need to maintain an active full-time study status in order to keep their working eligibility. That's why a lot of students ask me, I'm taking part-time study. I failed courses. Can I still work? So you need to keep that in mind. What immigration requires you, because you applied as a student. So what immigration requires you is to keep your full-time active, continuously studying status, right? So that's easy to understand. If you work part-time, can you study? The answer most likely is no. When you are not studying, can you work? The answer is most likely no, but we have different situations I'm going to go through with you. Okay. Here it talks about working or traveling as a student. Remember, your status, your legal status in Canada is student. Okay, that's your status. So when is the validity of your status? That's a expiry, before expiry date of your study permit. So do remember, don't let your study permit get expired. You need to extend your study permit before the expiry date. If you let your study permit expired and didn't extend it, unfortunately, you cannot continue study. The college will withdraw you. Okay, that's serious. And usually what immigration recommends is to extend your study permit within 3 months prior to the expiry date. For example, a lot of students study permits expire in end of November, this month, November 30th. So when should they apply for extension? It should be October, September, and you can also do it in November, but before the last day, okay? Some students, they forgot their study permit expiry date, or they wait until the last day, but it's so rushed. Everything needs time. When you request for a score letter, it takes about 10 business days. And you might have questions about the form, about the application, about documents. You need to get your bank statement, etc. Everything needs time, right? So you need to prepare to extend your study permit before the expiry date. Remember that, please. And then as you keep your student status active, then you can have the working eligibility based on the study permit, okay? So work while studying. See, here tells us a lot of things which you might have questioned or you may know some, including working on campus, who is eligible to work and where is counted as on campus. That's sometimes confusing because Fanshawe College has a lot of campuses. So we do have companies who doesn't belong to Fanshawe, but they provide service on the campus. Does that count in on-campus job? Can I see from chat? How do you think?
What do you think, guys?
Someone
If
says
you'd like
yes.
to post in the chat here, what do you think? Is a business that's not associated with Fanshawe College, but located on our campus, would that qualify as on-campus work?
I see students.
So we have yes, answers. No, yes. Yes, I suppose from Joe.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So previously, immigration policy, they change by the time, right? So previously, what they define is on-campus job must be provided by the college. But currently, just it becomes easier for us to remember. Currently, anything on campus, the location is on campus, it is on-campus job. Yeah, wonderful. And you know, how many hours can you work on campus? I mean, for those students who study permit gives them full working eligibility. How many hours can you work on campus? Can I get some feedback? No limit. Anything else?
Anyone else have any ideas? How much can you work on campus? 20 hours per
40,
week, 40
20?
hours, 40 hours, 20 hours?
See, students are confusing, right? Yeah.
So there is a difference between on-campus and off-campus work. So Jesse, how much can students work on campus?
That's a very good question. Yes. So here is the eligibility, the condition, okay? You can work on your school campus without a work permit if you a full-time student, if you have a valid study permit, and if you have a SIN number. Let's leave this hour aside a little bit. We'll come back to that. So for students who has EAP condition, who is still studying English as a second language, they don't have a work permit. They are a full-time post-secondary student, right? They have a valid study permit. But because they don't have the working eligibility on their study permit, when they apply for social insurance number from Service Canada, they might not get one. So if you don't have a SIN number, you cannot work, even on campus, no, okay? But sometimes some students are lucky enough to get the SIN number. Recently, I have been helping two students. They have a SIN number, but they don't have the eligibility to work showing on their study permit. So can they work on campus? Yes, they can. Okay, one of them find job with our gym. And another thing which you can consider is to work as a peer tutor. Our learning center, our library has learning center, okay? Learning center provides a peer tutor service as long as you have good grades on certain subjects above B or B plus, I guess B plus. You could apply to be a peer tutor for that program, program that you can tutor junior students, other students, okay? And college will pay you minimum wage. And now I'm going to talk about the hours. It is unlimited. So we do have students who study so hard, who study so well, they couldn't find a job off campus, but don't worry. If you study so hard and you have a very good GPA, you can apply to peer tutor. You will be paid by the college unlimited hours as long as there are students who are paired with you, right? And you can get a lot of payment from there, and you will have very good resume in the future because you worked as a peer tutor. That also identifies your capability to communicate with others. That's very important. Yes, so on-campus job hour, it's unlimited.
Jesse, if you don't mind, I'll just add that Fanshawe does have a program, a work program that's specific to international students.
Yes.
And it's called ISWEP, the International Student Work Experience Program. Were you planning on touching on this?
Yes.
Please? Yeah, okay, sorry, I'll leave it to you then.
No problem. Thank you, Laura. Jump in anytime because you've been worked for the registrar for so long, right? And you worked for the financial office. Yeah.
So the ISWEP program is the one program that is facilitated by the financial aid office and related to just for international students. So typically financial aid mainly deals with the Ontario Student Assistance Program, which would only be available to domestic students. But the ISWEP program is something a little bit different It is run by financial aid, and that is an application for you to apply for jobs on campus. So a couple of different departments you'll be working with. First, you will submit your application to financial aid. Following that, you will look on the career services website and ask them for ISWEP jobs. Now, under this program, it's 10 hours per week that you could potentially be working, which is a nice compliment if you're working the 10 hours on campus. And then if you do decide to engage in off-campus work as well, you also have some availability and options there. So I'll let Jessie continue on.
Laura, could you please help me to find ASWEP page on our college website?
Yeah, so it should be under paying for college.
Yeah, I tried to search ISWEP.
Is it not there? So one thing
is my spelling correct? ISWEP?
Yeah,
International Student
Work Experience Program.
Experience Program. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
And we're not getting any results. So
it goes to bursary.
One thing I will say is that we are in a moment of transition, as everyone knows, as we're coming out of these entering the post-pandemic times. We're still maintaining a lot of those practices we have for the past almost 2 years now to keep us all safe. So during the pandemic, we really did not have a lot of availability for both work study program, domestic work study, nor for the International Student Work Experience Program. So it is possible that they've removed this opportunity for the time being. That may be why Jessie's unable to find that on the website. But what I would say to each of you is to continue to keep an eye out for updates from the college around that program, the International Student Work Experience Program. You'll often hear it referred to as ISWEP, is what we call it. So if you see in the fan mail notices that go out to students, if you see that listed as an opportunity, make sure you do apply, because that will make you eligible to apply for those on-campus jobs. And as always, monitor the updates from the International Center, because we send you a lot of really great information, and that's one of the things we might include. The other option is following Fanshawe International on social media. That's another place where that information would be shared with you when that becomes available.
Yeah.
So
I will continue. Yeah, I'll continue talking. Laura, if you can spend time to find ISWEP, I'm sorry, I should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have find it earlier and prepare it here. ISWEP is a program for international student working experience on campus. Okay, so we talked about the on-campus job with gym with athletic office. You need to apply through athletic office. Okay, that's unlimited hours. And we talked about the peer tutor job that you need to apply through the learning center. You can search learning center on the college website and you will get it. Or you can search peer tutor. Okay, you can apply. And it's unlimited for ISWEP. Thank you so much, Laura. Yeah, thank you. I'll copy and paste.
So the program it's listing that it is now closed. However, this goes over the entire process for applying.
That's right.
So
okay.
So that will be helpful for you. At least you have that information and know where you can.
This is a definition of ISWEP. Okay, just let you know about this information. When the college is fully back on campus, then we will need students to support different offices. That's why this program comes to life. We want to give the students opportunities, especially our international students, opportunities to work on campus and to support us. For example, we have the international student ambassadors, okay? And for business division, for many other areas, they do need working students. So you need to apply for ISWEP first. When you get ISWEP, then you would be able to apply to other on-campus job, okay? But peer tutor, athletic office, those two departments, the jobs, you don't need to apply for ISWEP first. All right. Yes, correct. Glican, you're right. Okay, let's continue. Who can work on campus and who cannot? On the day you stop studying full-time, see, you're not a full-time student anymore, right? When your study permit expires, if you are on leave, if you are switching school and during the waiting time, you're not studying, on those occasions, you cannot work even on campus. Off campus, can you? Of course not. All right, and not on campus either. Where you can work, see? On campus means you can work at all the buildings on your school campuses. So we talked about that. All right. Then let's talk about work off campus. I'm sure a lot of students would have questions. If you do, bring up in chat and we can go through the information while answering your question, okay? Sometimes students email me saying, Jessie, we can work full-time during the scheduled break, but my employer needs a school letter to say that. So my reply would be, I'm sorry, it's not decided by the school, it's immigration policy. So what I do is I would give them the website of the immigration regulation. It's this website. I can give this to you. I will send to the chat. Okay. So this is IRPA, the regulation, okay? Immigration and the Refugee Protection Regulations, 186. It talks about the work condition, who can work without a work permit, or if you have a work permit, what's a condition? Down here, V. If you are the holder of a study permit, and if you are a full-time student, if you are a full-time student enrolled in a designated learning institute, if the program is from a post-secondary, etc., okay, at least 6 months or longer, and your programs are, although you're permitted to engage in full-time work during a regularly scheduled break between academic sessions. The academic sessions we call term, we use term or semester, okay? So between 2 semesters, if the school has a scheduled break, what does scheduled break mean? Scheduled break means the college scheduled the break. Even if you want to study, you cannot because there's no courses available for you, no course offered, okay? That's very simple to define. So if it's a break that you choose to take a break, but you should be able to continue, that's not a scheduled break. For example, I give you one example, business diploma, the business accounting diploma or general business diploma and many others, okay? They can continue. They provide 4 levels in each semester, in each academic session. So you don't really have a scheduled break. Some students asking, oh, I'm not able to pay my next term fee. I want to get a scheduled break. The college will not give you a scheduled break if there is no such one. So you have to check with the program coordinator and international office to fully understand the scheduled break, okay? Sometimes program coordinator, they don't know the immigration perspective impact on students' study permit or postgrad work permit in the future. That's why they would recommend you to talk to international office, but it's always good to talk to both sides. So although they are permitted to engage in full-time work during a regularly scheduled break, see how many hours you can do? they work no more than 20 hours per week during a regular academics activity, okay? So that means during the scheduled, unless you can work, let me rephrase. You can work full-time during the scheduled break, right? But during those unscheduled break, can you work? No. But when you are studying full-time, can you work? Yes. How many hours can you work when you're a full-time student? 20 hours. How many hours can you work full-time during scheduled break? We don't know, because immigration doesn't have a specific hour over here. It only says full-time work. Okay, then I'm going to bring you to this website, Ontario guidance, hours of work. What is a full-time? Every company has different definition to full-time. My position is 35 hours every week as full-time. If I work, because we have 1 hour lunch every day, so except the lunch hour, it will be 7 hours each day, and then 5 days in a week. So it's 35 hours. But most of the company, they provide 40 hours. That's why students have this conception, oh, full-time means 40 hours. Yes, that's okay, that's right. But some companies might have less, and some companies might have a little bit more, but no more than it's over here sometime. I checked yesterday, but I don't see it here today. 48, I think. If over 48 hours, you have to have this agreement with your employer. It's special arrangement over time, okay? So some students might ask me, if it's only 20 hours a week, but I'm doing a shift work, sometimes my employer asked me to do more shift, but at other weeks, I got less shifts. Can I do an average of 20 hours? Let's go back to immigration regulation. Can you do fluctuated hours based on your shift and with an average per week, 20 hours? Can you? Did immigration say that? No. They said it clearly. No more than 20 hours per week. Okay? Yeah, that's easy to understand, to remember. And sometimes students, they are self-employed. They work for Uber. Okay? They have a car. They deliver. Because of COVID, I think more students work in that way. How many hours can I work? See, immigration says no more than 20. It didn't say if you work at Uber, you can work more. No, as long as you pay taxation, because you have a SIN number. When you work, you pay taxation, right? So there will be a record, and then no more than 20 hours. But because you are self-employed, probably no company would check the record for you. How do? You check by yourself, and finally your taxation will reflect all. Okay. I don't see any question. Oh yeah, this one. If we do volunteer, would that be counted in working hour? What's the definition of volunteer? Volunteer means you work for someone, but you don't get paid. That's volunteer. Of course, it's not counted as your work. You can do as many volunteer as you can. That's a culture here in Canada. Even I'm very, very busy at work, I do other volunteers as well for the school, for the church, for the community. I believe Laura does the same too, right? That's a culture, and that's how we build up the society, okay? And I'm going to talk about a little bit about the scholarship. Many students thought scholarship is bursary. It is not. Bursary, it's only available for domestic students, not for international students, unfortunately, right, Laura? Scholarship, it's an award, it's an honor. There are not much amount related to scholarship, maybe 100, 200, 250, or some external scholarships might be 1,000. We have international student returning scholarship, it's 1,000 per person. But how can you build up your resume and be qualified for those scholarships? There is a committee in registrar's office who decide from the candidates. So when they look at the resume, of course, GPA, it's a very basic requirement, right? And also you need to have very good volunteer experience. Your engagement with the community with means the society, okay? Your engagement, your involvement, and your volunteer, that would be much appreciated. Your goal is to become a Canadian permanent resident, I think, right? That's the goal of most of yours. And if you want to become a Canadian, then we need to learn about Canadian culture. And that was my journey too. And I love to be a volunteer, to support and to serve others. Okay. So who can work off campus?
So Joe's asking a question here about working on campus and if that employment is subject to taxation.
Good question. Remember I said, what is a SIN number? SIN number is a number that you can pay your taxation. In Canada, whenever you receive salary, you pay your taxation. Without a SIN number, you cannot pay taxation. That means you receive cash on the table. That's not legal. Simple, huh? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so Joe, so it will be, any on-campus work will be recorded just in the same way off-campus work would be. But when your records are reviewed, they would see that you were working on campus, and therefore that wouldn't be included in your 20-hour total. So yeah, so good to know. Yeah. But Jesse brings up a really good point about, you know, working under the table and things like that. You want to make sure that you are working in good faith and making sure that you're following all the rules and conditions of your study permit to show that you're compliant with those rules.
Yeah. As I said, it's Canadian culture, and also it's how the society is built up. It's a credit society. When you pay taxation, it's by the faith, by good faith. When you claim the tax return, it's by good faith. They will not check each one of us, but when they check, when they find some problems, then you're on the blacklist. Don't do that. You want to live in a society that you can have trust with others, right? You can have this respect to others and also to yourself. And that's why we choose to come to Canada, right? Yeah. So here's a good question. Between,
I can read it out for you, Jesse. Yes. VS asking here, can we work full-time between August and January if the course is ending on August 30th and the second course is starting in January? So looks like we have a break between programs. What should
that's very good. That's very good, because when we read the regulation just now, it didn't say so, right? But on CIC website, it's not in the regulation because they don't change regulation, but they do change the policies often based on the regulation. Okay, so if you search, you will find it. They have this specific days that in between two programs, if a student doesn't have a gap more than 150 days, they will still be active status and you can work full-time. So between end of August and early January, that's a gap less than 150 days. So yes, you may work full-time. And I usually will make this like assumption. Let's say, for example, from December 22nd to January 4th, that's a starting date of next January term, to April, let's assume, okay, 26th, and to May 7th. I'll make an example here. So for students, we're talking about who can work off campus now. So this is a very good question for me to bring it into this section. Who can work off campus and how many hours can you work off campus, okay? So here says eligibility requirement on my screen. You can work off campus if you're a full-time student, you're enrolled, you are in at least a 6 month longer study, and you have started your study and you have a SIN number, okay? So I'm going to touch those with this explanation based on my assumption of the date, okay? So December 22nd, it's an ending date of this term. For students who continue their next term in January, starting from January 4th, can they work full-time? Yes, they can. When? From the end of this term to the starting date of next term. It's a scheduled break. If you want to study, can you? No, you can't, because the school is off. That's called the scheduled break. Okay, that's clear. So you can work full-time from this day to the starting date of next term. For new students who are coming, they haven't started yet. Okay, they came early, they got their study permit, they have the working eligibility. They applied for SIN number and received one. Service Canada kindly gave them one earlier. Can they start work? No, because they are not an active student yet. Unless they start their program on January 4th, they cannot work, okay, for new students. For students who's going to finish the first program by December 22nd, and they are going to start the next program on May 7th, can they work full-time during the gap? A few conditions. So first of all, by December 22nd, you must have the program admission letter at hand, or at least you applied, and it might take a few weeks. That's fine. Immigration won't take too much consideration to that 1 week, right? So at least you applied, or basically I should say you have the admission letter of the next program at hand by December 22nd. That means from December 22nd to May 7th, that's the gap between two programs, and it's less than 150 days. You can work full-time. Yeah, for students who are coming new, starting from January and finish by April 26th. Sorry, I made up those dates. You can always check the academic calendar on the college website, okay? So for new students, I'm sure we have a lot of new students here during our session. If you're coming for January, and the first term finishes by April 26th, when can you work part-time and when can you work full-time? Okay, after the starting date of the program, you can start to work part-time, up to 20 hours a week. A few conditions: you're full-time registered, you have a valid study permit with a working eligibility remark, and you have a SIN number. Some students, they're new. Service Canada took a long time to give them a SIN number. Without that, you shouldn't. Okay. So after you finish the first semester by April 27th, from that ending date to the starting date of next term, can you work full-time or part-time off campus? Full-time. Okay. So do you have any other question regarding the work off campus eligibility?
Yeah, Jessie, we actually have had quite a few questions that have come
Sure.
through. sort of some related to work, some sort of related to more arrival visas and study permits. So Bhargav is saying that they deferred the course from September to January, and unfortunately now his study permit expires as of it's still having the expiry date based on September. So can they still go for the January intake, or should they request any adjustments to their study permit?
Okay, remember, you cannot let your study permit expire without extension. You must extend it. But what kind of school letter you're going to tell immigration? I need more study permit. You need the second program offer letter, okay? Book an appointment with us. I'm going to give you this appointment link.
So one good suggestion for everyone is to be really aware of your dates. If you have a calendar, post those dates on your calendar. If you are, I know a lot of people, including myself, I use my phone to monitor and track a lot of things. So 3 months before the expiry of your study permit, put a notification in your phone so that you're aware of when those dates are coming and you're giving yourself a lot of time. Everyone here has done so much work to get to this point to be able to study in Canada.
So
you
true.
want to make sure that you are having a very smooth process. So being proactive about your documentation is probably the best advice we can give you today. I do have a question here from Macy. She's asking about the co-op work permit, I'm assuming. Just want to ask for co-op only related to my course I can work with. So if someone has a co-op work permit, can you just talk a little bit about that? Do they does the co-op need to relate to their program?
Yeah. I see students asking the fee installment. We don't have any policy about the installment. If you pay late, your admission will be canceled, okay? But you definitely can email either international@fanshawe.ca or book an appointment with us. When you book appointment with one of the international student life coordinators, please book ahead of time, 2 weeks, 2 weeks during the busy starting date or end time, 3 weeks, I'll say, if you have certain questions, or email us, will be quicker. So I think we finished about the off-campus working eligibility. Just to answer the question you just mentioned, if you deferred your program, we have to see the gap in between two programs. Are they less than 150 days? Did you receive the admission letter from the second program already? Those are the conditions to consider whether you can work full-time or not. Okay, so please book an appointment with us. Individual situation might be different, then we can give you the accurate advice. All right, so let's go back to work as a co-op student or intern. I will not touch your spouse. We'll mention about the co-op student. Very good question. A lot of programs, they have different names about the working portion relates to study. Remember, your status is a student, okay? So all the activities must be based on this valid student status. For programs such as baking or culinary, they have this externship. You need to find a company to work. That's a requirement from the program. For programs such as early child education or social service worker, they have this working term, or which could be placement, or it could be practicum, right? No matter how you call it, it's a working experience relates to your study, required by your program. And we do have programs which is a co-op program. It's a little bit different, but they all need a co-op study, a co-op work permit. It's not a working condition off campus or on campus. We talked about that. That's a remark on your study permit, the working eligibility, okay? So now the co-op work permit, it's about the work relates to your program. No matter it is called co-op or placement or internship or externship or practicum. Just the definition, it's work relates to study. That needs a co-op work permit. If you don't get the co-op work permit when you enter Canada, don't worry. Email us or book an appointment. We will guide you how to apply online from within Canada. Sometimes you only need to apply for the co-op work permit and it's free. Sometimes you need to apply for study permit extension with a co-op work permit. Then you only need to pay the study permit extension portion. It's $150, okay? So a lot of students might got confused about this. They thought they have a separate work permit. They can work off campus, but no, it's a co-op work permit. And on their study permit, because they had EAP, they had English as a second language study. So their study permit actually says, do not allow to work off campus, but they do issue the student a co-op work permit. It's confusing. How to recognize the co-op work permit? It says co-op, it says work permit, but on the employer or location, it says London or Fanshawe College. That's a co-op work permit, okay? Yeah.
So Jessie, when students are on a co-op, what is their status? Are they full-time if they're completing a co-op term?
Yes.
So
yes.
What does that mean for other employment that they might have on campus or off campus?
Oh, that's such a good question. You're an expert, Laura. Yes, thank you for bringing this up. If you work in placement, it's a course within your full-time study. So it's just one course, as normal, okay? But if you work on your co-op job, that means you need to work for 1 term or 2 terms or sometimes 3 terms. That co-op means full-time job, co-op job. That is regarded as full-time study. It's an academic session, right? Remember, it's a requirement in the program. So it's one of the academic session. You just think it. You think the full-time co-op as a full-time study, and that's it. All other working eligibility off campus or on campus, they remain the same. Okay.
So 20 hours off campus and unlimited on campus. Of course, yes. Making sure, I know we had about 50% of people that said, yes, they want to work as much as possible. But remember, your purpose of being here in Canada is to be a student. So you need to make sure that you're prioritizing your studies first and not prioritizing work to the point where you don't have any balance in your life to allow you to be successful as a student. So that's something very important to keep in mind.
That's so true. I sometimes calculate their tuitions into hours.
Yes. Yeah.
You pay 8,000, 9,000 Canadian dollars for 1 term. The term has 15 study weeks. And each week you might only have 14, 16 hours in class, right? Mm-hmm. So when I calculated with a student, he was so surprised to see, oh, I paid $30 for 1 hour class, $30. But I paid so much time to work off campus. I only got paid $15 for an hour, and I failed my course.
Yeah. It's an expensive mistake to make, and it has impacts down the road. So being in good status should always be your priority. Your academics come first.
Working,
Jessie,
working is very important for you. We understand, but studying, it's a primary goal. You come here, you invested here to study for a 3 years postgrad work permit, right? For your long-term goal. So you have to balance, you have to make a good balance about study and work. As Laura said, I agree no more. Study, it always comes as your priority. Please remember that. And I hope you can contact the career service and join our Fanshawe Works session. We usually have this orientation and the Fanshawe Works workshops for international students. It's very, very useful. It's hosted by International and Career Service. And you have your co-op consultant if you are in a co-op program. But if you are not in a co-op program, you can always contact Career Service. They have the consultant to help you with resume. They have workshops to beautify your resume, to teach you about job searching skills in Canada. That's very important too. And to know. Sorry, so Jessie, do we have other questions?
We do have a few questions. I'm just going to quickly, we only have 4 minutes left here in our session today. So I'm just going to very quickly to respond to a few of these questions. So for the information about the ISWEP program from Cole, you've asked about when this opportunity will be open and if first-year students are eligible, if they because academic standing is required. I would say you can apply anyways. Typically it is for level 2+, but if there's a job you're specifically interested in, reach out to that employer and see if they may consider you based on your experience. I know for international ambassadors, we do have a couple of level 1 students that are on our team. So I think most offices would consider the right person, but again, you would need to reach out to them about that. Another question that's come up here was around from Jatin is asking about work as a software developer part-time. Again, as Jessie suggested, Career Services is the best place to go. They have like a whole database that you can search by program. So contacting a career consultant is a good option. But Jessie, just in these last few minutes, I want to pose 2 very frequently asked questions. One is, after graduation, can a student continue part-time while they apply for the post-graduation work permit?
That's a very good
so
question.
Application is sort of the big one.
We haven't mentioned about the post-grad work permit yet, so I'm going to quickly mention a little bit about that. Post-grad work permit application, you have to wait until you receive the program completion letter. Okay, and program completion letter might take up to 3 weeks. For example, this term, the term will end on December 22nd, and because of the Christmas holiday, you might get the program completion letter in the middle of January by email. Okay, so after you finish the courses on December 22nd, you are still a student until the day you receive program completion letter. That means you can only work part-time. I'm sorry, not full-time. You can only work part-time if you graduate by December. You can only work part-time until you receive the program completion letter in the middle of January. And then on the day, most of the students do this way, okay? They prepare the postgrad work permit application ahead of time, only pending on the program completion letter. So when they receive it in email, they submit the application right away on the same day. So since that day, you can start to work full-time. You don't have to wait until you receive the actual postgrad work permit. Same as students who applied for study permit extension. You don't have to wait until you receive the new study permit. You applied before the expiry date. You are implied status. So you have all the eligibility as usual. But only the one situation I mentioned, students who graduate by December. You cannot work full-time in Christmas. Why? Because you do not have the other program starting. You do not have the other term starting from January. Okay? Yeah. And we do have workshops for those permit extension, or email us or book appointment. We're always available.
Yeah, we have a very lovely team of student life coordinators who are available to help you with any of these questions. There is I can provide in the chat the booking information for booking an appointment with an
I
advisor.
think I mentioned that before.
Yeah,
I
is it
can
in there
post
already,
again.
Jessie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. But anything can be found on our international website as well, so that would be a good place to look. The other thing I would suggest is if you follow Fanshawe International on Facebook, our advisors offer a really great Ask Me Anything session, and I believe that's ongoing on Thursdays. Is that correct, Jessie?
I'm sorry. Can you please say that again?
The Ask Me Anything for the student life coordinators on Facebook? That's Thursdays, correct?
Thursday. Yeah. Laura hosts that. Yeah.
So if you have a question, just pop on and you can ask your questions to our student life coordinators. And often the questions that you have are probably very similar to questions that other students have as well. So great opportunity to get some information that way.
Yeah. Working, it is important, but again, studying, it's more important than working. Don't lose your money. Don't waste your money. I hope everybody will be successful. And I know you're working hard. And we're here to support you. As Laura said, anytime you can approach us, okay? Sometimes I reply to my emails very late. I worked after 12 at the midnight because we're a good team and we want to serve our student as best as we could. Okay, so thank you very much for your time joining this session. And thank you, Laura. It's a pleasure to work with you.
Yes, thank you so much, Jessie, for sharing all of this very important information. And thank you, everyone, for attending. We're so happy that you've come to join us. Tomorrow, day 13, lucky day 13 of our series, we will be joined by two presenters. So it'll be a very exciting day. We're going to be joined by our FOL team, which is Fanshawe Online. And that is the program that sort of will help you manage all of your course information. So it's a very important session to attend. We'll also be joined by our IT service help desk, and they're going to tell you about a lot of the services that they provide, including free software downloads, information around laptop requirements, and media services. So some really cool opportunities for you to rent out equipment through their office.
Wow.
Yeah,
Laura, you're doing an amazing job.
Welcome.
You're taking our students browsing all the department in the college. Wow.
That's right. Everyone on this call today is the expert. They know career services, they know our wellness center, counseling and accessibility. They're the pros. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And I really look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.